Now we have a new sheriff in town with President Trump, and China has got to be concerned. This is the time we need to double down in standing up for free speech. There's one more example about attempted Chinese censorship, and it comes from what may be the most irreverent show on television. It's a Comedy Central cartoon known as South Park. On a recent episode, South Park poked fun at China just like they do everything else, including President Trump, American history, politics, religion. They make fun of conservatives. They make fun of liberals, and the humor is often very crude. They've gone after Scientology, Islam, and pop culture. But the Chinese communists, they weren't amused. The episode Banned in China, B-A-N-D in China, was about a music group in China, and it got the series banned, B-A-N-N-E-D, in China, meaning they were knocked off the air. I've seen clips from the show, and they're very, very funny, even if very crude. This episode, however, has become a rallying cry for Hong Kong residents, and it's being screened on the streets of Hong Kong even today. The funniest part is that South Park chose to apologize via Twitter, essentially mocking the NBA strategy and their cowardly response. So here's the tweet from South Park. Like the NBA, we welcome the Chinese censors into our homes and into our hearts. We too love money more than freedom and democracy. She doesn't look like Winnie the Pooh at all. Tune into our 300th episode this Wednesday at 10. Long live the great Communist Party of China. May this autumn's sorghum harvest be bountiful. We good now, China? South Park got it right. What's amazing is that this Comedy Central cartoon is the message of courage for us to stand up for freedom and not kowtow to the economic warfare of China. This is about moral courage. Can you imagine if the people of Hong Kong, by standing for liberty and their principles, could be the spark that ends the communist blight in China? Sadly, there are big American companies willing to extinguish freedom for the hope of making a little extra money. What's happening in China is a sellout of American principles, but it's not the only sellout. We also have this very recent example of political correctness run amok, and this time it comes from a surprising source. In episode 19, we told you about the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, how they label groups as hate groups and they attempt to stifle free speech. Well, they're at it again, despite being seriously discredited. There were whistleblowers at the SPLC talking about how bad this group really is. The Washington Post wrote articles about how they weren't necessarily judging all that fairly. They piled up huge amounts of money and they've stuck it in offshore bank accounts. This is a money-making enterprise that has actually sponsored people to go attempt mass murder. They didn't purposely do it, but people read the SPLC posts, people quoted them and used their information as motivation. Not the SPLC, I'm not saying that they tried to make this happen, but people read their stuff and they went to the Family Research Council, a guy named Floyd Corker, and attempted mass murder because the Family Research Council was falsely labeled a hate group.